24GE0016, construction of concrete road, construction of main road, Plaza to Ligiran, Sambag to Umilig Road section, Barangay Umilig, Buenavista, Guimaras. Number 2, 24GE0017, construction of flood mitigation structure, construction of flood control system in Barangay Santo Rosario, Buenavista, Guimaras. And number 3, 24GE0018, construction of road slope protection structure at specific location along Guimaras Circumferential Road, kilometer 18 plus 580 to kilometer 18 plus 720, and 24GE0019, construction of concrete road, Santa Teresa Sinaksapan Road, access leading to Isla Naburok and Ave Maria Islet, Gabali, Dpwh Marine Turtle Sanctuary, Baras Beach, at Barangay Espinosa, Guimaras. To start with, let us all stand for the opening prayer. Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Almighty God, our Father, we praise you that we say, you have given us another opportunity to open our peace and powers. Please pardon us for our shortcomings. Help us all in our piety. We learn to honor our lives to response example. Father, with us in the especially everyone for us. Guide us in our discussions. Guide in our minds with our decisions. Give us your grace and give that we do our parts of the servants. As our lives for those projects, so we can ensure our peace through the glory of the Holy God. And for the attendance, we have here our Vice Bank Chairperson, Engineer Francisca Malcon. And for the bank members, we have Engineer Choi Villanueva, Engineer Erin Amboy, and Engineer Elidura Zulia. And for the TWG, we have Engineer Ron Ortiz, Engineer Ivy Celesta, Engineer Adrian Bon Villarreal, Engineer Flor Angel Gadnanan, Miss Gail Candice Cañete. And for the back set members, we have Miss Ebony Carrillo and Miss Iluminada Indencio. And also we have here a representative from Planning and Design Section, Engineer Tristan Cabrerios. We don't have any representative from prospective leaders who attended this afternoon's vivid conference. Number 1, contract ID 24GE0016, construction of concrete road, construction of Umilig Road section, Plaza to Ligiran Sambag to Umilig Road section, Barangay Umilig, Buenavista, Guimaras. Education at Umilig, Buenavista, Guimaras. Approved budget for the contract is 14,850,000 pesos. Source of funds, FY 2024 National Expenditure Program, Early Procurement Activity. Contract duration, 96 calendar days. Cost of bidding documents, 25,000 pesos. Number 2, contract ID 24GE0017. Construction of flood mitigation structure, construction of flood control system in Barangay Santo Rosario, Buenavista, Guimaras, with location at Buenavista, Guimaras. Approved budget for the contract, 27,730,000 pesos. Source of fund, FY 2024 National Expenditure Program, Early Procurement Activity. Contract duration, 206 calendar days, with cost of bidding documents, 25,000 pesos. Number 3, contract ID 24GE0018, construction of road slope protection structure at specific locations along Guimaras Circumferential Road, S00028GR, kilometer 18 plus 580 to kilometer 18 plus 720, with location at Buenavista, Guimaras. Approved budget for the contract, 77,155,900 pesos. Source of funds, FY 2024 National Expenditure Program, Early Procurement Activity.
Contract duration 280 calendar days. Cost of bidding documents 50,000 pesos. And number 4, 24 GE 0019, construction of road Santa Teresa Sinapsapan Road, access leading to Isla Naburut and Ave Maria Islet, Kabaling Higanti Cay, Hordan Marine Turtle Sanctuary, Baras Beach, at Barangay Espinosa, Hordan, Guimaras. Location at Sinapsapan, Hordan, Guimaras. Approved budget for the contract is 14,700,000 pesos. Source of funds for 2024 National Expenditure Program, Early Procurement Activity. Contract duration 96 calendar days, cost of bidding documents 25,000 pesos. The scope of works for 24 GE 0016 and 24 GE 0019. Part B, other general requirements. Part C, earthworks. Part D, sub-base and base course. Part E, surface courses. Part F, bridge construction. Part G, drainage and slope protection structures. Part H, miscellaneous structures. The scope of works for 24 GE 0017. Part B, other general requirements. Part C, earthworks. Part F, bridge construction. Part G, drainage and slope protection structures. The scope of works for 24 GE 0018, Part B, other general requirements, Part C, earthworks, Part F, bridge construction, Part G, drainage and slope protection structures, Part H, miscellaneous structures. The required pickup license for 24 GE 0016, 24 GE 0017, and 24 GE 0019 projects are as follows. Size range, medium A, license category B, single largest project above 10 million up to 100 million pesos. Allowable range of contract cost up to 100 million pesos. The required pickup license for 24 GE 0018 projects are as follows. Size range, medium B, license category A, single largest project above 50 million up to 100 million pesos. Allowable range of contract cost up to 200 million pesos. Major categories of works for 24 GE 0016 and 24 GE 0019. RCP roads construction PCCP. Similar categories of works are RP roads rehabilitation PCCP. RCTP roads construction panel PCCP. Qualifiers must have completed reconstruction and reblocking including base course covering 50% of the item of work of the project. They include airport, runways, taxiways, and aprons. Since these projects are under early procurement activities, it is understood that the funds for these projects are to be approved for major categories of works for 24 GE 0017, FCSPS, flood control, slope protection using structural measures, example, revetment, retaining structures, wire net. Similar categories of works, RCSPS, roads, construction, slope protection using structural measures, example, revetment, retaining structures, and wire net. FHR, flood control, hydraulics, river control, PHC, ports, harbors, causeway. FHD, flood control, hydraulics, dam. Qualifiers. Either must have, number one, at least one contract that is similar to the following works, among others: A, concrete revetment, A, green revetment, C, wire net, D, stone masonry, E, retaining wall, flood wall, F, grouted reef rock, G, geosynthetic. Number two, similar slope protection works with at least 50% of the item of works of the project. Major categories of works for 24 GE 0018, RCSPS, roads, construction, slope protection using structural measures, example, revetment, retaining structures, and wire nets. Similar categories of works, FCSPS, flood controls, construction, slope protection using structural measures, example, revetment, retaining structures, and wire net. FHR, flood control, hydraulics, river control. Qualifiers. Bidder must have completed at least one contract that is similar to the following works among others. So letter A, stone masonry, B, retaining wall, C, grouted riprap, D, geosanding. Number two, similar structural protection works with at least 50% of the item of work of the project. Since these projects are under early procurement activities, it is understood that the funds for these projects are to be approved for FY 2024 for the information and guidance of all interested or prospective bidders. General conditions of the contract. Notes on the general conditions of contract. The general conditions of contract in this section read in conjunction with the special conditions of contract in section 5 and other documents listed therein should be complete document expressing all the rights and obligations of the parties. Matters governing performance of the contractor, payments under the contract, or matters affecting the risks, rights, and obligations of the parties under the contract are included in the GCC and special conditions of contract. Any complementary information which may be needed shall be introduced only through the special conditions of contract. Number one, scope of contract. This contract shall include all such items, although not specifically mentioned, that can be reasonably inferred as being required for its completion as if such items were expressly mentioned therein. All the provisions of RA number 9184 and its 2016 revised IRR, including the generic procurement manual and associated issuances, constitute the primary source of the terms and conditions of the contract and thus applicable in contract implementation, wherein clauses shall serve as a secondary source for the terms and conditions of the contract. This is without prejudice to section 74.1 and 74.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184, allowing the GPPB to amend the IRR, which shall be applied to all procurement activities, the advertisement, posting, or invitation of which were issued after the effectivity of the said amendment. Number two, sectional completion of works. The sectional completion is specified in the special conditions of contract. References in the conditions of contract to the works, the completion date, and the intended completion date shall apply to any section of the works other than references to the completion date and the intended completion date for the whole of the works. Number three, position of site. The procuring entity shall give position of all or parts of the site to the contractor based on the schedule of delivery indicated in the ACC, which corresponds to the execution of the works. If the contractor suffers delay or incurs costs from the failure on the part of the procuring entity to give position in accordance with the terms of this clause, the procuring entity's representative shall give the contractor a contract time extension and certify such sum as fair to cover the cost incurred, which sum shall be paid by the procuring entity. If position of a portion is not given by the above date, the procuring entity will be deemed to have delayed the start of the relevant activities. The resulting adjustments in contract time to address such delay may be addressed through contract extension provided under Annex A of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184. The contractor's obligations. The contractor shall employ the key personnel named in the schedule of the key personnel indicating their resignation in accordance with ITB clause 10.3 as specified in the PDS to carry out the supervision of works. The procuring entity will approve any proposed replacement of key personnel only if the relevant qualifications and abilities are equal to or better than those of the personnel listed in the schedule. For performance security. In 10 calendar days from receipt of the notice of award from procuring entity, but in no case later than the signing of the contract by both parties, the successful bidder shall furnish the performance security in any of the forms prescribed in Section 39 of the 2016 revised IRR. The contractor, by entering into the contract with the procuring entity, acknowledges the right of the procuring entity to institute action pursuant to RA number 3688 against any subcontractor, be they an individual, firm, partnership, corporation, or association, supplying the contractor with labor, materials, and or equipment for the performance of the contract. Self-investigation reports. The contractor in preparing the BHLO rely on any self-investigation reports referred to in the ECC supplemented by any information obtained by the contractor. Number 7, warranty. In case the contractor fails to undertake the repair works under section 62.2.2 of the 2016 revised IRR, the procuring entity shall forfeit its performance security, subject its properties to the attachment or garnishment proceedings, and perpetually disqualify it from participating in any public bidding. All payable of the GOP in this favor shall be offset to recover the cost. The warranty against such structural defects, failures, except that occasioned on force majeure, shall cover the period from the date of issuance of the certificate of final acceptance by the procuring entity. Specific duration of the warranty is found in the ECC. Number 8, liability of the contractor. Subject to additional conditions if any set forth in the ECC, the contractor's liability under this contract shall be as provided by the laws of the Republic of the Philippines. If the contractor is a joint venture, all partners to the joint venture shall be jointly and severally liable to the procuring entity. Termination for other causes. Contract termination shall be initiated in case it is determined prima facie by the procuring entity that the contractor has engaged before or during the implementation of the contract in unlawful deeds and behaviors related to contract acquisition and implementation such as but not limited to corrupt, fraudulent, collusive, coercive, and obstructive practices as stated in the clause 4.
They works, subject to the guidelines information order in Annex E of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184, and if applicable is indicated in the SCC. The day works rates in the contractor's fee shall be used for small additional amounts of work only when the procuring entity's representative has given written instructions in advance for additional work to be paid for in that way. Program work. The contractor shall submit to the procuring entity's representative for approval the said program of work showing the general methods, arrangements, order, and timing for all the activities in the works. The submissions of the program of work are indicated in the SCC. The contractor shall submit to the procuring entity's representative for approval an updated program of work at intervals no longer than the period stated in the SCC. If the contractor does not submit an updated program of work within the period, the procuring entity's representative may withhold the amount stated in the SCC from the next payment certificate and continue to withhold this amount until the next payment after the date on which the overdue program of work has been submitted. Instructions, inspections, and audits. The contractor shall permit the GOP or the procuring entity to inspect the contractor's accounts and records relating to the performance of the contractor and to have them audited by auditors of the GOP, the procuring entity, as may be required. Advance payment. The procuring entity shall, upon a written request of the contractor, which shall be submitted as a contract document, make an advance payment to the contractor in an amount not exceeding 15% of the total contract price to be made in lump sum or at the most two installments according to a schedule specified in the SCC, subject to the requirements in Annex A of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 91, number 9184. Progress payments. The contractor may submit a request for payment for work accomplished. Such request for payment shall be verified and certified with the procuring entity's representative project engineer. Except as otherwise stipulated in SCC, materials and equipment delivered on the site but not completely put in place shall not be included for payment. Operating and maintenance manuals. If required, the contractor will provide as-built drawings and or operating and maintenance manuals as specified in the SCC. If the contractor does not provide the drawings or manuals by the date stated above, or they do not receive the procuring entity's representative's approval, the procuring entity's representative may withhold the amount stated in the SCC from payments due to the contractor.
Special conditions of contract. Notes on the special conditions of contract. Similar to the BDAs, the clauses in this section are intended to assist the procuring entity in providing contract-specific information in relation to corresponding clauses in the GCC found in section 4. The special condition of contract complement the GCC specifying contractual requirements linked to the special circumstances of the procuring entity. The procuring entities country, the sector, and the works procured. In preparing this section, the following aspects should be checked. A. Information that complements provision of the GCC must be incorporated. B. Amendments and or supplement the provision of the GCC as necessitated by the circumstances of the specific purchase must also be incorporated. However, no special condition which defeats or negates the general intent and purpose of the provisions of the GCC should be incorporated herein. GCC clause number 2. The intended completion date is 80 calendar days from the effective date of the contract. Clause 7.2, 5 years. Clause 10, a day works are applicable at the rate shown in the contractor's original bid. Clause 13, the amount of the advance payment shall not exceed 15% of the total contract price and schedule of payment.
Section 6, Specifications. Note on specifications. A set of precise and clear specification is a prerequisite for bidders to respond realistically and competitively to the requirements of the procuring entity without qualifying or conditioning their bids. In the context of international competitive bidding, the specifications must be drafted to permit the widest possible competition and at the same time present a clear statement of the required standard of workmanship, materials, and performance of the goods and services to be procured. Only if this is done will the objectives of the economy, efficiency, and fairness in procurement be realized. Responsiveness of bids be ensured in the subsequent task of bid evaluation facilitated. The specification should require that all goods and materials to be incorporated in the works be new, unused of the recent or current models, and incorporate all recent improvements in design and materials unless provided otherwise in the contract. Samples of specification from previous similar projects are useful in this respect. The use of metric units is mandatory. Most specifications are normally written specially by the procuring entity or its own representative to suit the works at hand. There is no standard set of specifications for universal application in all sectors in all regions, but there are established principles and practices which are reflected in the PBDS. There are considerable advantages in standardizing general specifications for repetitive works in recognized public sectors such as highways, ports, railways, urban housing, irrigation, and water supply. In the same country or region where similar conditions prevail. The general specification should cover all classes of workmanship, materials, and equipment commonly involved in construction, although not necessarily to be used in a particular work contract. Deletions are then should then adapt the general specifications to the particular works. Care must be taken in drafting specifications to ensure that they are not restrictive. In the specification of standards for goods, materials, and workmanship, recognized international standards should be used as much as possible. Where other particular standards are used, whether national standards or other standards, the specification should state that goods, materials, and workmanship that meet the other alternative standard and which ensure substantially equal or higher quality than the standards mentioned will also be acceptable. The following clause may be inserted in the SCC. Sample clause, equivalency of standards and codes. Whether reference is made in the contract to specific standards and codes to be met by the goods, materials to be furnished, and work performed or tested, the provisions of the latest current edition or revision of the relevant standard and codes in effect shall apply, unless otherwise expressly stated in the contract where such standards and codes are national or relate to a particular country or region, other authoritative standards that ensure a substantially equal or higher quality than the standards and codes specified will be accepted, subject to the procuring entity's representatives' prior review and written consent. Differences between the standards specified and the proposed alternative standards shall be fully described in writing by the contractor and submitted to the procuring entity's representative at least 28 days prior to the date when the contractor desires the procuring entity's representative consent. In the event that the procuring entity's representative determines that such proposed deviations do not ensure substantially equal or higher quality, the contractor shall comply with the standards specified in the documents. These notes are intended only as information for a procuring entity or the person drafting the bidding documents. These should not be included in the final bidding documents.
For drawings and bill of quantities, please refer to the uploaded files of bill chips on Dpwh website. These are the documents comprising the bid, legal documents, bill chips registration, SIC registration or DPI registration, mayor's permit, and tax clearance. For technical documents, requirements, statement of ongoing contracts, statement of either single largest completed contracts, pickup license or special pickup joint venture license, bid security, organizational chart. List of contractors' major equipment, list of contractors' minimum materials, testing equipment, omnibus sworn statement, ITR and financial statement, in the FCC computation and valid joint venture agreement if applicable. Financial documents requirements, financial bid form, bill of quantities, detailed estimates including summary sheet, quarterly, monthly, and cash flow and payment schedule. All documents shall be printed in A4 format, tabbed and bounded. Please attach the bidding documents and the technical component of your bid. For the bid to be submitted electronically or online, the following procedure should be observed following DO 87-2020. Submission of electronic official receipt of purchase of the bidding documents. Number 2, confirmation of the electronically submitted official receipt. Number 3, preparation and submission of an electronic bid. Number 4, modification of an electronic bid. Number 5, non-participation in the bidding. Number 6, withdrawal of electronic bid. Number 7, opening of the electronic bid. Number 8, filing convention in case of a joint venture bidder. Bid opening for 24 GE 0016 and 24 GE 0017 shall be on December 19, 2023, Tuesday at 9 a.m. And for 24 GE 0018 and 24 GE 0019 shall be on December 20, 2023, Wednesday at 9 a.m. at second floor, bidding room, Dpwh Guimaras, District Engineer Office, San Miguel, Jordan, Guimaras. Bids will be opened in the presence of the bidder's representative who choose to attend. Late bids shall not be accepted. Bid submission may be done manually or electronically or online. However, bidders should only select one mode of submission, either manual or electronic. Similar to manual submission, the guidelines for the preparation and submission of electronic bid are contained in the bidding act. Bids must be duly received by the Bank Secretariat for manual submission or at electronic.guimaras@dpwh.gov.ph for electronic submission on or before December 19, 2023, Tuesday, and December 20, 2023, Wednesday at 9 a.m. All bids must be accompanied by a bid security in any form of the acceptable forms and in the amounts taken in Activity Clause 18. So any clarifications for this 4 civil works projects? Since there are no bidders, prospective bidders for this pre-bid conference for the 4 civil works projects, this activity is adjourned.